we're gathered here today to talk about the end of your island. Oh, and your island. And your island. And my island? All of our islands are going to end. Yep, you heard that right. Nintendo will be shutting down all of our islands, which sounds horrible, but there is a bright side to this, all right? And we also need to talk about something that has been, I think, finally cleared up once and for all. A big misunderstanding that now, we should just regard as finished. And I don't know if it's gonna make you happy or sad, but we'll get into it. So what's going on, everybody? It's Acnh from Switchforce. Glad to have you all here. Make sure to hit that like button if you're still loving ACNH, and let me know what you think of both of these issues in the comments down below. I also want to let you know, before we get into the nitty-gritty, dirty details, that my good friend Nintentalk and I will be live streaming a special 2-day event all about the future of Animal Crossing and this year's E3 season, and that's going to be this Sunday and Monday on June 5th and June 6th, both days starting at 5 p.m. Eastern, so mark your calendars, a big 2-night Animal Crossing event that we can all enjoy together as Nintendo prepares to unleash their announcements. Now, the setup here is kind of funny, because on the dark side, your island can't last forever, but on the bright side, Nintendo inevitably has to make a new Animal Crossing at some point in the next 4 decades. Huh? What? Emoji can be really tough to interpret, but thankfully, today's video is brought to you by Disney Emoji BLITZ, whose emoji are very direct. I mean, when you see the Captain Lightyear emoji, you know it means to infinity and beyond. And when you see the Amethyst Ursula emoji, you know it means your singing is really starting to aggravate me. If you don't stop, I'm gonna steal your voice. Disney Emoji BLITZ is a fantastic, strategic, fun match 3 puzzler where every emoji not only conveys what it means, obviously, but also has its own unique power-up. And June is packed with great ones like Electrical Parade Elliot and Electric Parade Tink, who both mean it's too dim in here, turn on some brighter lights. Make sure to click the link in the description down below to grab the game today. And by the way, I'm giving away 3 Amazon gift cards for some summer fun. 3 of you will win a $20 Amazon gift card, and all you gotta do is download the game using my link in the description below, reach level 20, which you can do, you totally can, and then send me a picture of your progress and we'll pick 3 winners. So you can use some of these emoji in your text conversations. Like everybody just knows when you see the shaved ice stitch emoji, it means let's support the channel, play Disney Emoji BLITZ, and have an awesome summer, right? Now, in a perfect world, we'd be able to play all of our games for eternity. But in our online-centric gaming universe, that just isn't the case. And we now know the official end date of Animal Crossing New Horizons. Yes, I know, I can hear you. That end date was 2.0 because they didn't bring anything new, but this is the real end date, not just the new content end date. This is your island physically cannot exist beyond 38 more years. I know that's a long time, so hopefully those of you that I scared are breathing a sigh of relief, but if you are 20 years old right now, you will not be playing ACNH when you're a grandma. Well, there's a workaround, I guess, but according to the game itself, it's been uncovered that Animal Crossing New Horizons officially stops on December 31st, 2060. A very odd date. It's not like a century, it's not 75 years, it's not some predicted Mayan calendar end of the world, it's just 2060. The game cannot continue beyond that point. You thought that they teased us with only 2 years of content? No! You can't even play the game in 38 more years. Which, I don't know how many of us will be playing the game in that long, but I do think some of us would love this world where we get to have our island exist throughout our entire life. Just sit back and wax nostalgic with me for a moment. You're 75 years old and you get to check in on the island you created when you were 22. That's kind of heartwarming. It kind of just ties it all together. Your life, you can just go back to a time where maybe everything was wonderful. I mean, I hope everything is wonderful for you your entire life, and maybe it will be. Maybe it's so good you just want to go back and see everything as it was, and you can't because your Switch and Animal Crossing New Horizons physically won't let you play. Now you can always rewind the clock and pretend to party like it's 2020. Everybody is inside and experiencing this game for the first time. It's beautiful and also kind of tragic all at the same time, but you won't be able to go beyond that point. So we know for a fact that between now and 2060, Nintendo will release the next Animal Crossing game, which isn't much of a reveal. Of course they will. But I really more and more am feeling like it's going to be sooner rather than later. We'll talk about this a bunch in our upcoming live stream event, but I think ACNH, or AC rather, I think it's going to return quicker than I, or Nintentalk, or you predicted even just last year. I think we're on a fast track now, and if nothing else, we know it'll be before 2060. So get it all in. Whatever you were planning to fit in, however many International Museum Days you wanted to experience, all the festivals you wanted to shake it to, all the Halloween events, you've got 38 more of them. It's kind of just really depressing when you think of it that way, but I know it's a long time, and we'll well be beyond the Switch and other ACs by that point. So let's move past the sad, sort of silly ending of Animal Crossing New Horizons, which I still find odd. Like, it's not a big deal, but at the same time, the game should just go forever. Why is there a specific screen in-game alerting us like it cannot persist? It just cannot. But speaking of persisting, there's a persistent thought, a persistent complaint even, that Animal Crossing New Horizons failed on its objective of delivering 2 to 3 years of new content and updates. This is something that I've said myself many times, that I know you've probably heard many times, that Nintendo promised 2 to 3 years of new content. And if we're really gut-wrenchingly honest, they only gave us like 1.5. They didn't even reach the full 2-year mark. There was no second anniversary cake. Festival was the only event that did not get a double dose of updates, and they kind of dropped it all after a 1.5 years. But we've got to actually course correct the past once and for all and resolve this forever. Okay, and I gotta give a shout out to Crossing Channel as well as Pottergeist over on our Discord, because both of them helped bring this to my attention. The idea that Nintendo would keep 2 to 3 years of Animal Crossing updates going for New Horizons was really morphed from an original quote that I have here before me, and I'll show it to you now, all right? They said, we want to make sure that in 2 to 3 years down the road, players will still continue to find new surprises in the game. So we hope to create an update that you can do that with. We want to make sure that in 2 to 3 years down the road, players will still continue to find new surprises in the game. So we hope to create an update that you can do that with. Now, this quote is worded in a very strange way, and it's taken with one of the producers on the game, and it probably should have been said a little more clearly. But I believe the find new surprises and the new update parts get sort of twisted up together and blended to a point where we believe that they promised 2 to 3 years of updates, when in fact they just said they wanted players to still find new surprises in their game 2 to 3 years down the road, and they hope to create an update that will allow for that, and they did that. They did pack this game with so many items and so many villagers and so much content on that front that you can find fun new things 2 to 3 years down the road. Now, I don't believe that at the beginning, when this quote was first uttered, they knew that this game would catch fire like it did. I don't think they knew that it would outsell every other Animal Crossing combined. It would become a worldwide phenomenon. All these different brands would take advantage of the game and create their own islands, that everyone would play thousands of hours and exhaust all the content to the point that we're just clamoring for new. Because for the average player, you're definitely still seeing new things 2 to 3 years down the road, and especially when they dropped Update 2.0 in November of last year, they really did set things up so you would have hundreds of new items to find as you played. So you would uncover surprises at Harv's Island as you played into 2022 and into 2023. It was just the fact that this game became a freaking, just an amazing party of insane success and fun and camaraderie that we did it all. And we did it all fast. And we saw 2.0 and we were so hungry that we just gobbled it all up. Because they didn't promise 2 to 3 years of new content. They said that they think there will be enough content and they'll create updates to have even more content. So in 2 to 3 years, you'll still find something fun in the game. Now, this makes me sad because we've believed a lie for a long time, And they never really intended to even have more content than they had. And I've just been wrong about it. But it's good because we know that Nintendo didn't really lie. They didn't lead us astray. And it does sort of paint this interesting picture of how they were trying to create a game and create updates that would bring enough content so enjoyment would be had for 2 to 3 years. And when you put this all together, you understand why the game stops in 2060, because they will run out of content. I mean, many of us ran out of content well before their 2 to 3 year mark just because we played it so darn much. But in one way, it's just because the game was so great. It's just because the game was so special that we've blown through it. And if the game was worse, we'd probably still be finding more surprises. So a better game with less longevity, or a worse game that can last much longer, I don't know. I feel just all sorts of ways about this, but I think we can put to bed the idea of 2 to 3 updates, 2 to 3 years, because it's clear, based on this interview and this quote, what they actually meant. And you can see how a few words here or there shifted, so the Animal Crossing hive mind has believed Nintendo said something they didn't ever say. Let me know how you feel about all of this. Your island can't exist until you're a grandma or grandpa. Unless you already are, or you're close to it, kudos to you. You get to be an Animal Crossing grandma and grandpa in New Horizons. And I probably don't. But let me know what you think about all this stuff. Your island coming to a concrete end in 2060. There is a timer on your island. Those villagers, they have an end date. As creepy and sort of depressing as it is to say, but it's a long time down the road and we'll be well beyond this game by that point. And then also just this course correction on what they really promised in terms of updates and kind of how that makes you feel where we're at. All right, let me know in the comments down below. Make sure to join me and Pat for our 2-day spectacular June 5th and June 6th at 5 p.m. Eastern. Until that time, everybody, thanks so much for watching. I hope you're all doing well. Staying safe, staying healthy, staying happy, staying positive out there. And until next time, everybody, love you lots. Switch Force, out.